Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Amanda Lamb. Joining me today is reporter Chelsea Donovan, and we're going to be talking about an unfolding story. To be clear, we're reporting on this on Monday afternoon, so if there are any developments, we will include those links or notes in the show notes. This is about a shooting that happened near a middle school, Ligon Middle School, earlier today. Chelsea, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So if you could just start by telling us how this call came in, because obviously anytime you hear something about shots fired near a school, it's very scary for the whole community.
Yeah, originally police did confirm that there were shots fired at Ligon Middle School. And then, of course, later they sort of clarified that it was near the school. And what we know is that there was a man who was just shooting into cars, many of them occupied. And this was really near the drop-off area for Ligon Middle School. And we know that this happened just a few minutes before 7 o'clock this morning. They said that a man was firing shots at cars and then at police officers that responded to the scene before he was then shot by police officers. We now know that the person that was shot by two Raleigh police officers did succumb to his injuries just a little bit ago at a hospital. And so while we were at the scene, which sort of spans like 5 or 6 blocks in the Southeast Raleigh neighborhood, there are many streets that are completely taped off. But what was interesting is when we got out there, sort of the crime scene centered around 2 Raleigh police vehicles that we can only assume now at this point were vehicles that this man was also shooting at.
So tell me what happened in terms of the school. You know, they get this notification, and how was that put out to the parents, to the school community? How did that transpire?
From what we understand, this alert was put out after parents were dropping off their children. There was not a large police presence this morning at the school. Obviously, we now know why, but I understand that there are some parents who may feel that there's a bit of a delay in being notified about this. The principal did say once the police responded to that area, they didn't go on a full lockdown. They just went on what's called a code yellow. And that just means that nobody is allowed in or out of the building. They can move freely inside. But the good news is there was not anybody that was injured in or around the school. But we should note that, like, the shooter's impact, according to Chief Estella Patterson with Raleigh Police, like, this was a scene that spanned several blocks that obviously endangered a whole community, and that school was sort of within that radius of their response.
So at this point, we don't have any information as to whether the school had anything to do with the shooting.
Yeah, we don't know. We can't link the two of them together at this point.
Okay, well, Chelsea, we'll be back after the break with more on this developing story, a shooting near a middle school in downtown Raleigh, a man shot, killed, and an investigation that's ongoing. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm talking with Chelsea Donovan about a shooting this morning that took a man's life. It was an officer-involved shooting, and this was near Ligon Middle School. Chelsea, do we know anything at this point? I mean, I know this is just, you literally just walked out of the press conference. Do we know anything about this person?
We don't know anything about this person. They didn't take hardly any questions. Actually, they said that they haven't even identified him at this time. So obviously, once, the notification of kin happens, then we'll probably learn a lot more. What is interesting, though, is that in hearing what the police chief said is that obviously there was an extreme the school was on heightened alert because many of the 911 calls, she says there were in fact 12 of them, came from teachers inside the school, and I would imagine came from residents in that neighborhood who we understand heard anywhere from 5 to 10 shots. So I'm sure more information will come out about this suspect as the investigation, continues to materialize.
And tell me again the location. I know this was in Southeast Raleigh, but how many streets were involved here?
There's like 6 blocks. It spans, like, I would say, about a half a mile down Cumberland Street between Page and Rock Quarry Road. And Ligon Middle School is just 2 to 3 minutes from this area. But even as of now, 6 hours after the immediate response, those streets are still blocked off. You can see forensic investigators all around the two Raleigh police SUVs, and then a lot of activity centered around a house on the 700 block of Cumberland, where this seems to all have unfolded.
And do we know the status of the officers? I know you said there were multiple officers who fired their weapons in this situation. Do we know their status?
Yeah, so this is sort of standard protocol for any officer-involved shooting. The 2 officers that were involved are on administrative leave because there'll be 2 parallel investigations that will go on. One, an internal investigation regarding Raleigh police, and then the SBI would come in and do their own investigation, and that's standard. We should note that
We lost Chelsea's audio there for a second due to technical issues. She said that the officers did have body-worn cameras on them.
And so we'll, of course, learn more, as we usually do, 5 days after. Police will put out what they call a 5-day report that will probably have much more information than we have as these early stages are just unfolding.
Sure. And suffice it to say, as you said, this impacted such a large area. I would imagine that people in that area are still really in shock and upset about what happened and, feeling pretty unsafe.
Yeah, it's a nice neighborhood. So it's like got a mix of like old homes and then brand new construction. And, before the sun comes up, many people are hearing shots. They go outside to walk their dog, to leave for work, and their whole entire street is just, peppered with crime scene tape. So definitely a startling morning for people in that community who, woke up to this.
Well, Chelsea, thank you so much for bringing us up to date on this story. And I know you will continue to follow it. And thank you for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email waiting in your inbox every morning with Triangle news events and headlines to get you ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.